So let's talk about cheating and integrity. All right, now there's kind of two schools of thought on this. One is the like women are Disney fairy tale princesses school of thought, which hopefully you don't believe anymore. And then there's the like women are all lying, cheating, whores school of thought. And that's a little extreme as well. Okay, to be fair, there are some women who will cheat a lot in their lives, and there's some women who will never cheat. However, I would say this is more down to circumstance than it is down to the particular women. And here's the reason for that. All women evolved, okay? Every creature in this world came from evolution. What you have to understand is what drives evolution. What drives evolution is not making us happier. It's not making us better moral people. What drives evolution is getting our genes into the next generation and the one after that. That's what drives evolution. And so you have to look at it from a female perspective, because based on the nature of how they came to be, it is necessary that they do what's smart in terms of evolution. They do what's smart in terms of getting good genes and keeping a man or men around to help take care and raise whatever kids they have, okay? That's absolutely essential biologically. And for that reason, they'll do anything and everything to make that happen. Now, in some cases, a woman meets a guy, they have a stable relationship, they raise kids together, and there's no need, there's no compulsion, there's no huge biological imperative to cheat. Also, there may be a lot of societal imperatives to not have a bad reputation, which will keep them from cheating. On the other hand, there are other women who will be in different circumstances where they just want to get the biggest, meanest fucking alpha male's genes inside of them, and they want to get the kid raised by somebody, so they'll exploit or use some beta male to raise the kids, all right? And that's not the fault of the woman so much, it's the fault of evolution, right? And so if you start blaming women for being what they are, then you're just going to be upset and miserable. But if you start understanding the circumstances that create cheating, the circumstances that don't create cheating, then you can understand where it comes from, what it's all about. And yes, women do cheat a lot. Many, many women have cheated on their boyfriends and husbands with me over the years, right? But you have to understand why. Why is it? It's because the value proposition I offered made it make sense, right? And for a lot of guys, they do get cheated on a lot. And why is that? It's because the value proposition they're offering to the woman is not making sense. And the big issue here is you're viewing women, or guys are viewing women, through this lens of what makes sense in the 21st century. If you take that back and say what made sense 10,000 years ago, then you're going to get a much more accurate perception of what behaviors girls really want from you and what girls really will respond to from you. And when you actually give them what their genes are looking for, you'll find, interestingly enough, they'll cheat with you a whole lot more and cheat on you a whole lot less. And also the relationships you have will be much, much, much healthier, okay? So understand, yes, women cheat. Not all women cheat. Women cheat circumstantially, and women cheat on certain people in certain contexts. All right, now there is something you can do about it, but most fundamentally you need to understand what's going on so you're not clueless and lost. There's a tendency to categorize women. They call this the Madonna whore dichotomy. Like, this one's good over here, this one's like the dirty, nasty one over here, whatever. And that's with relation to sex, right? There's the girls that will like have a lot of sex and cheat a lot, and then there's girls that would be like faithful and wouldn't have a lot of sex. The same also applies to sort of integrity, where like, oh, this is a girl with high moral character, this is a girl who lies and is a little scandalous, doesn't have integrity, treats people shitty, that kind of stuff. And my contention on this is that's situational as well, okay? And here's why. The absolute nastiest, most scandalous girl I've ever been with during the time that we were very close was extremely sweet to me, bent over backwards for me, did a lot of things out of the way for me, etc. The absolute nicest, sweetest girl you could possibly imagine, who is somewhere between Mother Teresa, Gandhi, and an angel, when we broke up, was a nasty fucking bitch, okay? So the funny thing is, during certain circumstantial times in the relationship, the girl will be very, very sweet to you. During other times, she won't. And I think there is a gradient. There are some girls whose like natural set point is a little nicer, or natural set point is a little more on the bitchy end of the spectrum. But how they're going to treat you is going to have a lot more to do with the circumstances. It's going to have to do with, are you currently offering them value? Do they perceive you as someone they want in your life long term? Because as long as you are offering value and they want you long term, they're going to be sweet and they're going to uphold that relationship and act with some level of integrity, be relatively trustworthy. At least they're going to take steps to not get caught if they are being untrustworthy. But once they decide they no longer care about you, or you no longer have value to them, then they will walk all over you. And this can be either the guy that never had any value, that just gets walked all over, shoulder to cry on, friend zone, used for resources, or it can be the guy they dated and are done with, who gets some of the nastiest treatment at all, the whole hell hath no fury like a woman scorned kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is this. Again, it comes down to value. And again, look back to evolution. Look back to what will get a girl's genes into the next generation, right? As long as you have value and use to her, she is going to treat you with respect and integrity, at least to a point. As soon as you don't, even if she's an inherently nice person, when it becomes inconvenient or contrary to her objectives to treat you nicely and with respect and integrity, she will no longer do that. All right? People are primarily out for themselves. Whether they rationalize it that way, whether they think of it that way, genetically, that's what they're doing. And as far as the rationalization thing, that's what we're going to talk about next. So right about now, you're probably asking yourself, how do women live with themselves? They sound like the most awful, evil, conniving bitches. Jesus, it's so bad, right? Well, think about this. You're kind of the same way, right? You've done things in your life that you probably would prefer to forget you've done, things that aren't in line with your highest moral integrity, things that you regret, that kind of stuff. And yet, if someone were to ask you, are you a good person? You'd probably look them dead in the eye and be like, yes, I am, okay? Women do the same thing, and the way they do it is the way you do it, which is called cognitive dissonance. Here's how it works. You have a certain perception of yourself, and you have an action that falls outside of that perception. Now you have a choice because there's a paradox in your head. You think of yourself one way, yet this action contradicts it. So you have a choice. You can forget the action happened, or you can rationalize the action as part of who you are, right? And so what'll happen is a lot of times people will just kind of forget or like misremember some details, forget it happened, kind of like zone it out, put it in the past. The other thing they'll do is they'll find some little thing to latch onto that justifies them. Okay, so let's say that girl is friends with a guy and he's kind of a beta male. He was useful to her and now he's not. And then he's a little bit like annoying and she just like disses him, walks away, sort of like does something with disregard to him. Now, how does she rationalize that? Well, everybody has their little flaws, right? So she'd be like, oh, he's so annoying. He was just trying to sleep with me the whole time, which quite frankly was probably true. However, when he was useful to her, he didn't have a problem. She didn't have a problem with that. She was okay with that as long as he was useful. As soon as he was no longer useful, now all the negatives come out, right? It's that moment in the relationship where all the cute little things that used to endear you to the person now like turn you off because you no longer like the relationship as a whole. And so what women will do is they'll latch on to whatever little detail it is, and they'll use that to rationalize whatever the behavior is, okay? So that's how they're able to keep that sort of self-image that they're a good person, that it was the guy's fault, that sort of thing. And yeah, you could judge them for it, and yeah, it kind of sucks, but the fact of the matter is you do the same thing too. Think about it. A lot of guys' reactions to discovering the harsh truth about women has become negative, defensive, butthurt, even misogynistic. I'm gonna give you two alternate perspectives that are gonna massively change the way your relationships are with women for the better, and it's gonna show you how there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The first thing I wanna talk to you about is this. Whenever a guy says to me, she hurt me, well, unless she physically like stabbed you or caused you physical pain, if she hurt you emotionally, she didn't hurt you, you hurt yourself, okay? Because what happened was you had a certain expectation and that was violated and that caused you pain. If you go in with a better expectation, you go in knowing the truth, knowing what to expect, and understanding women for what their nature is, you won't be hurt when these type of things happen. It's kind of like if you went behind a horse and made a loud noise and it kicked you in the face. Is it the horse's fault for kicking you, or is it your fault for being an idiot and not understanding the horse's nature, okay? So you need to understand what women's fundamental nature is and create and construct relationships with them that are positive and in alignment with that nature. Because if you're trying to ask them to act contrary to their nature, of course you're going to be hurt, of course you're going to be disappointed, okay? So knowledge actually is power when used the right way and when used proactively, okay? If you have the right expectations, then nothing that's going to happen can actually hurt you, okay? So she didn't hurt you, you hurt yourself. It's your expectations that have been violated. The other thing, and this is very, very important, throughout this entire video I've been talking about how everything is situational, right? Women's cheating is situational, women's lying is situational, women's rationalization is situational. And the key element in all of this is value offering. If you are an abundant source of value, if you are a good thing for her in her life, if you are someone she wants to keep in her life, then she's gonna have a much higher level of integrity to you than she would to someone for whom that's not the case. Now, can I tell you that you will never get cheated on ever, even if she met Leonardo DiCaprio? Probably not. But what I can tell you is that if you're less judgmental, she'll be a lot more honest and upfront with you about things. If you have better expectations of her, whatever she's gonna do is gonna fall in line with that and you won't be as hurt. And also, the more value you have, the better she's gonna treat you, the more positive she's gonna bring to your life over and over and over again, so that it becomes a net win for everyone, okay? So you can change your perspective, you can change your understanding, and that's gonna help. Also, the more you offer value and the more you offer not just the value you think makes sense to the girl in the 21st century, but true evolutionary value, what she's really looking for, girls will love that, and you will be that one unique guy that stands out. And then instead of being the guy that she cheats on, you'll be the guy she cheats with. Instead of being the guy who she doesn't assign importance to and screws over, you'll be the guy for whom she screws other people over to help you out and to make your life better, okay? So it's all about setting yourself up in the right context and with the right outlook.